Hello. Hello. Welcome back to Direction. Again, my name is Mary Apollo. We are continuing in the series of youth. Today we are discussing the youth initiative and how it can help in building the continent development, and how is that possible. We know for the last decades, many African youth came up with initiatives to work in development initiative for change and bring more leaders to the power. So we are going to also we have witnessed many experience with the revolutions and how youth came and changed the political systems in their countries. Also, Tunisia, Egypt, Sudan, and Burkina Faso, Mali, and Venezuela. Many countries are on the list. Some of the African leaders at the same time have asking youth to self-mobilize and organize themselves, like the initiative that came from the former AU ambassador to the United States, Ambassador Arikana Gwao. But how youth can organize themselves and how the future will look like. How is that possible? We are going to discuss all of that in today's show. I'm honored to join by Desmond Penso Bottom. He is welcome, Desmond. He's a student
Thank you, Mary, for this
at the University of Berlin University. Welcome, Desmond.
Thank you so much, Mary. It's a pleasure to meet you once again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great.
Also, my next guest, Mr. Luis Asmani. He's a software engineer. Welcome, Mr. Luis.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to the discussion. I'm an honor to host both of you. Welcome to the Four Direction. First, what I'm starting by, there's many initiatives now are taking place by youth in the continent and also globally, like everywhere. They're asking for the right for leadership and also addressing some of the challenges that the youth are facing. Why do you think the initiatives are getting more and more in the last decades? Starting with you, Benson. Why do you think there is more youth initiatives in the last decades? This one, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It seems the reception has been interrupted. But if you can hear me, then I'll just carry on.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So why do I think there is more youth initiatives is because, one, for me personally, we have realized that the old system of leadership may perhaps be too dogmatic for the youth to find their path towards helping the continent's growth. Why am I saying that? It's because in our own minds, we still feel like there is still too much restrictions and there is still too much dependency between the colonial rulers and even now for the developing countries in Africa. And so there are more youth initiatives because the youth are now awakened and the youth are now looking for paths that they can also contribute to the continent's growth. And secondly, that they can also share in the wealth and resources of their country without having to rely completely on governments.
Anything to add, Luis, on the point that this one have just mentioned?
Yeah, I have some few things. For me, actually, the main reason why the youths are coming up is, the old system no longer works for Africa. Like we can see, it's no longer working. The old system is a system that was brought into Africa by the British colony, last for Nigeria to say the least. And yeah, those guys are still using the mentality as a them to rule, which is not working. So for me, this is a global world and everything tends to change. So the youth that we have nowadays, yeah, I think they know the world better and they have an idea how things work, how things have changed from the old perspective to the new perspective. And yes, and bringing in their contribution, we actually make it a better place. Let's say the Africa as a continent, at large, we actually make it a better place. Yeah. So
And also, just going to the point now, there is more initiatives also working to connect the people in the diaspora, people who are like you, to get access to ownership homes in the continents. There is so many initiatives like the African Youth Initiatives also in Ghana, African Youth Building Africa, we are Youth Building Africa, Young African Leadership Initiative, Young African International Youth. So it's just that these initiatives now are working to connect the people in diaspora and people and the youth who are in the continent. How important is that for this collaboration to happen, and how long is going to take in your perspective? Can we go by Luis?
okay.
I'd like to go.
Okay, this is a nice one, and this is a good initiative because from what I'm seeing, actually those back home, let me use Nigeria for an example where I come from. Those back home in Nigeria, they don't actually know how the system works outside and how it's supposed to work. Like take for example, for Nigeria, they feel like, okay, it's natural for you as a human being to provide your own water, your own light, your own roads, your own schools and everything. But no, this is the work of the government. So, but those that are in diaspora, they've seen all this and they know that, okay, yes, those are not what we are supposed to be doing for ourselves. We have to make the government do it for us. So bringing together those in diaspora and educating or collaborating with those back home, I think it's a really good idea to like make them know that, okay, even if you have not been there, let's use the word like, even if you have not been there, but you have to have the basic understanding of how things work. And that is how you that is there, you have to implement it and make it work the way things are supposed to work. It's actually a good thing, actually. And yes, it's a good development. And I think, yes, it will work perfectly.
But it's still in that, because I also want to ask about Nigeria as a country, because with the diversity like Nigeria have, and also the oil, there is still a lot of tensions and conflicts going on in the country. And the youth always are a victim of that. Why do you think this is happening in Nigeria? What is wrong in the social structure?
Okay, first, Nigeria is a big country at large. And the first thing first is Nigeria have over, if I'm not mistaken, over 300 different languages. Those are different people and they see themselves differently. Like the north, south, and the east, they see themselves differently. So for you to come and bring three different people that see 300 different peoples that have different perspective, different initiative, different culture, different background, then definitely it will take the grace of God for them to come together in peace and unity. And to put at large, there is crude oil in Nigeria, and yes, every let me say every tribe want to have a test of this crude oil because it's a lot of money involved. So they want to have a test, and yes, you can imagine someone from the north. Let me say the crude oil actually it's in the south, but I think 3 or 5 days ago, someone in the north came out and said the crude oil that is in the south belongs to the northerners. That was the statement he said. He's among the present government. And he said that, and it doesn't really make sense to me. He didn't even say, okay, the crude oil belongs to Nigeria. I would accept that, okay, we are seeing ourselves as one country. He said it belongs to the northerner. You get? So it's actually a big issue it's actually a big problem. Bringing 300 people from 300 tribe and you tell them to work together and live as one, then and they are not even seeing themselves as one, actually, because if a northerner should come in power today, he favors the north. And the south will be like, oh, this is bias, we can't take it. So there might be a revolution or something from this other part. And if it switches and they got to power, they do the same thing. And the other part will say, no, this is not it, we can't take it. So the cycle keep going on and on and on. And yes, at the point that it is now, it's almost to the point of explosion, because the current president is biased, and he doesn't hide his biasness. Like, he doesn't hide it, and he's be like, oh, anything that will happen should happen. So Nigeria is at, should I say, at a keg of gunpowder. Yeah, let me put it like that. So I think the only thing that will happen now is, I don't know if it's right saying this, but it will be difficult for Nigeria to come together as one and live in peace and harmony. It will be really difficult. It will take the grace of God. So I don't know. Most people are saying, okay, the country should divide, and I don't know, from my perspective, is the best actually. But let's see how it goes.
Desmond, I know recently you are from Ghana. So also Ghana is a great country that has an example of asking people to the year of return to go back to the continent and invest in the land. Also, there is many youth who are in Ghana. I don't know, how do you see it in contrast with the other countries that are trying to push youth out of the country, or use from power, or controlling everything, controlling of resources, controlling of decision, and Ghana in contrast is trying to do the opposite of that. And also talk to me a little bit about the initiative that you are part of, the ICANN Africa. What is the vision and the mission, and how the initiative is going? Actually, this is where we met with Desmond. And Mr. German was one of Nkrumah. He was one of the great mentors, and yeah, he bring us together on that amazing project. Talk to me about it, please.
All right. So first, I will respond to the question of Ghana leading the initiative of returning home diasporans. Welcome back home. And just to let you know, also Ghana is also taking the initiative and has already earmarked a plot of land to build an iconic Wakanda city in the southern part of Ghana. That will be a home to all diasporans, people who have Black African descent. I think that leadership counts so much, and in the same way also citizens. And in this regard, the awakening of the younger generations has a very big role to play. Why am I saying this? Before the current president, Ronaldo, came, we had a lot of instabilities, and it also dwells on the character and charisma of the leadership. From my perspective, this current leader, President Ronaldo, has been able to win the trust of both the internal people as well as the global world. So most governments are rushing into the country. And I think that the only reason is that such a visionary leader can see what the youth can do, one. Such a visionary leader sees the importance or the significance of unity, two. And such a visionary leader can see that, well, if we start every step ahead, the rest of the African countries will also follow. So we can talk more about Paul Kagame and his initiative. He is a very disciplined leader, and I like that guy so much. No leader is perfect, all right. But Ghana sees it, for example, as a very important medium to try and put into place such initiatives. For example, currently Ghana is working on something called One District, One Factory. The whole intention is to make the country industrialized. And as we want to dive into the free continental trade agreement, where would we produce the things from? So, as I said, first, you need a visionary leader. And I think the current president is realizing that for us to move forward, to create our own market, our own economy as a continent, we need the capacity. And that is some of the solutions that the current government is trying to provide. And to add to that, Ghanaian youth travel a lot. I know it's the same for Nigeria as well. And so, although some travel and wouldn't want to come back because they think the country is corrupt, yes, they have corrupt officials. Even in Germany here, we have corrupt leaders. Recently, with regards to the corona vaccination and with regards to the corona mass distribution, some of the leaders within the German Bundestag, some ministers, were found culpable of trying to secure 1 million euros by selling these free masks that the government has printed. So that is an example that corruption is everywhere. So the youth of Ghana is awakening. One, the leadership is also aware that if we build and institutionalize good policies, the rewards will be marvelous. And so I think this could be some reasons why Ghana is seen as waking up to lead the road for Africa's development. And secondly, you ask about ICANN Africa.
Just question. I have a quick question here before you move forward. You talk about unity of the youth. How is that unity? How do you envision the unity and how it would look like in the continent in general?
In the country or in the continent?
It's starting with the country and in the continent, because currently, like the free trade area agreement also will be implemented. So how is that unity is going to look like?
Well, if we are able to realize that we all have one country at stake, and I think what is helping Ghana is, especially for the unity that we are experiencing, that although there are extreme political divisions in Ghana, but then I think we are aware, the citizens in most cases are aware that what is at stake is the country that we have. So if we need government will come, government will go, we will have our political disagreement. We will always be fighting on the radio station. We will always be sharing diverse opinions. Yet I think there is some kind of awareness. I don't know how that came, but the last 2 years since I went home, the environment there is like everybody is trying to do something. Now we don't completely rely on the government. And I think that desire to do something, to take these initiatives, is something looking beyond the government to do everything. It's a common agenda that from the north, from the south, from the east, from the west of the country, it is becoming a common direction for all the people. And so once we extend this beyond the borders of Ghana, we could also think, for example, what do we have at stake as Africa? Is it only resources? Is it only the culture? Is it only our hospitality? What do we have at stake? And now some leaders within the African continent have realized, oh, let us put at stake economy. And if we're able to put at stake our economy, these things will be able to put us together. So we know that if I'm able to cross the borders of Togo to sell, to import goods or to export goods to Togo without having much barriers, regards to tax, regards to import and export duties, then I know that making money outside Ghana is something at stake. And if Louis is in Nigeria and he wants to bring something to Ghana, he knows that he wouldn't encounter much struggles. If you are in South Sudan and you want to import something to Kenya or export something, you know that you will not have much problems. And so what can bring us together is that we have a common direction. We have a common interest. Let me cite an example. In Europe, for example, there is this single market, and it did not start like that. It started as coming together as a coal and community industry. So the Europeans came together with one interest. They wanted to regulate how coal and steel will be operating within their continent. And now they have free movement of people, free movement of goods. So for me, once there is something at stake, something called common interest, then there will always be the growth or the desire they will naturally follow to bring about unity. I think this is what I can add to this question.
So, Luis, let me go to Luis just to comment on that, and then I will come to you back to talk about ICANN Africa. Luis, what do you think about that? What do you think about what he's saying on the issue of that this transformation can happen, especially now there is technology in the age of technology, and also like there is more opportunities and chances for the development and transformation for use than it was before. He let me share some statistics. I have some statistic here I want to share. Is that there will be what is going now in Africa. There is something like in 2000 by 2030 there will be 7 million jobs in the continent, also 144 billion. It have contributed like 144 billion to the economic, and also the GDP will increase by 8.5. So what do you think about that?
Okay.
And you are a software engineer also.
Yeah. Okay, actually, talking about development, there have to be like a set out rules. When I mean a set out rule, I mean a plan or a map to how all this will be achieved. Because so far, like I have seen, I don't know. Yeah, other Africa countries, I would say, actually are doing good, because I saw Rwanda producing mobile phones. I see Ghana. Yes, Ghana is doing well. I can see good news for those countries. I'll talk about. Yeah, it's a good thing. And yes, with the development coming out from those African countries, then I'll say yes, all those statistics and data that you mentioned are achievable. Actually, they are achievable. And yes, everything from what you said is achievable. Like other African countries, I can see that some are also in Nigeria, for example, they make cars. Yeah, currently there's a Innoson. There's a guy called Innoson in Nigeria. There's a guy called Innoson. He has his own brand of cars in Nigeria. He makes it, and so your statistics are good, and yes, it's achievable. But the level of corruption, I don't know. The level of corruption is something else, and it's really bringing down all those things. What you made mention, you said Africa at large. That's why, okay, I am not disputing it, because yes, other African countries, I can see good news, I can see great news, but yeah, not from my own country. Actually, not from my own country, because I think Nigeria contributes the highest GDP in Africa. It's sometimes they do, if not Nigeria, then South Africa. I think both of them, they rotate the first project for the highest GDP in Africa. But Nigeria currently is on a decline, massive decline. As I'm saying, it's actually on a massive decline. So if it's on a decline, I don't see how the total Africa, let's use Africa GDP. If this is a country that produced the highest GDP in Africa, is on a massive decline, I don't see how the total Africa as a whole, the GDP will increase that much actually. But good and fine, other countries are actually doing well, and yes, but in Nigeria, they rely mainly on crude oil. And from what everyone knows now, crude oil is not something to write home about. The price it's really going down. It's not a good thing. So I think for us to be able to achieve what you mentioned, we have to bring in technology. Yes, technology. We have to bring in technology. Nigeria don't have, Africa at large, in terms of technology, we are backward, because I don't see how a government of Africa, like I read the news, was it last week, that is it the African Union House or something like that? It's a house, I think. It's like not a house actually, but like a big auditorium. where the African leaders gather to make their decisions. Again, I heard that this was donated by China. Just imagine like an African auditorium, big one, where all the African leaders gather to make decisions that will move Africa forward or backward. This was donated by China, and an IT guy in the firm noticed actually that there's a spy I don't know, spy camera, or let me see, some spy audio, that anything they discuss in this meeting, the Chinese government heard of it. So how do you expect such a country to grow? All those are statistics, quite all right, but actually what I'm saying now is the China are actually penetrating deep into Africa, and they are actually taking everything from Africa. So just imagine something as intelligent and as important as that being donated by to Africa by the Chinese. So it's actually backward. So it means all plans they made there in order to move Africa forward, it's being held by the Chinese, and those will actually bring a counter plan to actually knows how to deal with them. And yes, because actually all the Chinese care about, I don't know if it's good to say it on a live card, but it's okay. What they care about is what they will gain from Africa. And yes, the whole continent, the whole world at large, the whole world at large.
There is I was just, thank you for the point. Let me go back to this one. There is a report that I have read by the ACE. They have said that ACE Africa, they have said that development intervention remained largely sectorial, with digital as an instrumental rather than driver. Why is that? What is the problem with that? Why is it more instrumental than driving?
Can you rephrase the question? And ACE means what?
A report by the ACET Africa. They said the development, Africa have grown up in the area of development, but the development intervention remained largely sectorial, with digital as an instrument rather than a driver.
I wanted to give those as my final words, and it all boils down to innovation in all sectors. And it is instrumental. It is instrumental because that will be the means to an end. Simple. You can't transport goods from Ghana to Togo, from Togo to Niger, from Niger to Nigeria, and on and on and on to the east or to the south and to the north. You can't do this without reliable transportation. And to have such a reliable transportation means probably you might have to rethink about your railway construction. And there must be a central body that will be regulating this transportation. And most importantly, industrial innovation is also important, because when you want to move across borders, you should also be thinking of the question of security, securing the people and also securing the goods or the services that are being transported across borders. And so, yes, it is instrumental rather than just a driver, because it is going to lead you to the end you anticipate for yourself.
With this point, I just have a question here. How much are you hopeful and have faith in the free trade area?
Can you reframe the question again? I don't understand.
How the free trade area is going to look in with your eyes as an African youth? There is hope there. There is hope there, actually?
Yeah, I like this quotation from Adidas: "Impossible is nothing." They've just said it, nothing is impossible, you know. So in the same way with the African free trade area, the same thing I would say: impossible is nothing. We can do everything now in the current dispensation of Africa. There is nothing that you will not find in Africa without the knowledge to implement that thing. Every sector in Africa has an expertise who is an African to drive or to bring about innovative ways to let that thing flourish. Every sector, from education. Currently, Ghana has a very renowned minister. He is much into IT. He is much into innovating and inventing the Ghana's economy through education. He is bringing more IT into the education system. He is also pushing to restructure our educational system so that we can have more practical and science and math and engineering students coming out to pull the country's development. So impossible is nothing. I mean, we should just rethink. I always tell my African compatriots, at this stage, Africa can do everything. We only have to rethink. Let's rethink and do everything again. Let's rewrite our own stories, our own histories. Let's find a way to come up to do things in a way that we can feel proud of. And I'm saying it again, every sector you can find an African who is an expert to help and build that sector.
So what is needed? What is most needed for this development to happen, and how long is going? How far is this youth initiative can help in that? But before that, I want you to talk to me about ICANN Africa. A question that we have is keep, and we are coming back to it now.
Okay, so currently, ICANN Africa is only a social media platform with diverse Africans with various expertise. Some are residing in Africa, in Egypt, in Angola, in Nigeria, in Ghana. It cuts across. And some are in the US, in Europe, in Latin America. I'm sure about that. And the whole idea of ICANN Africa was instituted by our founder, who is also a Ghanaian, Jermaine Nkrumah, who thinks that
he's watching us, by the way. We pass you our greeting. He's watching the show, and he also shared it in the platform.
All right, that's good. And the whole idea is that I will say it again. There is so much potential among the African younger generation that he thinks, and I believe, and I conclude with him, I agree 100%, that has not been tapped. So he said, then let's create a platform where I am an expert when it comes to European studies and security management. Louis is an expert in software engineering, but he is residing in Germany. Mary is an expert in journalism. She's residing in the US. Now we want to do something in Africa. And with all these diverse groups, diverse mindset, diverse individuals, we can tap resources and begin to initiate something. So ICANN Africa is telling us that we can, as Africans. I can because you and I can do something. We want to wash away the mentality that Africans can do nothing. And I always refer to this saying by Kwame Nkrumah that in all of the continent, the black man is capable of managing his or her own affairs. It's because we are capable. We only need to rethink. And ICANN Africa is just a part to bring together these various people to think, to discuss about issues in Africa. And in the future, we would like to launch programs, we would like to launch projects that will help as our own way of contributing towards the continent's growth and the continent's development as well.
So just in that, what is the other use left? How can you bring together the other youth who are not part of this initiative, or if someone is interested to be one of this initiative? What is the right way to address it?
Well, most of the times we have our membership committee that help us to create links so that we can share it among various platforms so that people could join. And we mostly get news updates, mostly from our founder, to also update us about the current happenings in Africa. So what is left is for us also on this platform is to come together, and coming together means talking to ourselves, finding ways that we think, oh, if it is in the educational sector, then let us come together. Let's perhaps contribute maybe €1 each to start a project, perhaps in Central Africa. And this project, we will name it ICANN IT Sector, ICANN E-Commerce Library, ICANN this. And that as we begin to fill such gaps that we realize are missing in the continent's development with such little steps, talking to ourselves, contributing financially, thinking about what is missing, then going in for that initiative would put us on the right scale as a group.
Luis, do you remember you have any story you left behind from the continent that reflects youth unity or passion? Or you have any recent story that you have read? Because I know that you are familiar with many stories about Africans. It can be mostly, let me say, about innovation. What youth have done during the pandemic. I read about in Kenya there is. In Tunisia, there is some youth who have created the report that are teaching and educating people about COVID-19. Also, some initiative around the continent has worked on that. How can we bring these stories out, in your opinion, Luis?
Yeah, I think the only way to improve Africa and to bring Africa out to the world, it's like actually it has to start from a small, but I think Africa need that one big TV channel. Like we have the CNN, we have the BBC. I think Africa need one for itself so that it can be able to showcase itself to the world. Because to tell you the fact, the world only knows about what the world know of Africa is what they hear. Some might to be surprised. I've met many educated people here, and the only thing they will tell you African is one country, which is very wrong.
So you are also a Nigerian, and you have been traveling across with a Nigerian passport.
Yes.
How was that? Talk also add to us about that experience itself and how you correct the narration.
Okay. Yeah, actually, as a Nigerian traveling with a Nigerian passport, there's some level of should I say discrimination? Yeah, let me put it that way, discrimination. Because you have to be checked, not like others. Most times they actually check you more and this, but for me it's okay, provided, yeah, I know, yes, you can do your job, but at the point you don't step across your boundaries, because I might tell you, oh, you are not supposed to do this. But if you are checking the normal way, it's okay. But still, with the passport, it's actually different. My friend always tell me this. I have a friend that he's a Nigerian. His daughter was born in the US, and she have a US passport. And so each time they go to the US, the daughter just walk in straight, and he's always the one delaying them, because they have to keep him in the queue first to start with. He has to be in the queue for some hours, and some searching. They have to check him thoroughly, but his daughter and the rest will just walk in straight, and he always complains the same thing. But I always tell him that, yes, a day will come that, yes, with your passport, it will be respected as an African, and I'm sure that day is close. Yes, it's as near as possible. I think we are almost getting there with the new innovations, and I think the youths are actually doing really well. All over the world, and African youth is doing well all over the world. When it comes to the place of IT, IT and so many other technology, the medical field, go to the US. Africans are, I think, Africans, let me say Nigerians are topping the sector of the, especially the medical sectors. There's a lot of them. I think we are going places. The only thing that is left for us is how to harness these great people with so much talent, so much creativity, and bring them back and up to apply all those their intellect and creativity, and apply them in such a way of making Africa to grow. Yes, that's what I feel. And we should encourage the youth not to leave the continent, but rather, actually, we should provide them with stuff that will enable them to make their vision come true in the continent. Every African you see, any African youth you see, he has something upstairs. and he actually thinking of a way to make something, a great something. He have them obsessed. So if we can just have a platform for them in Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, so just make them comfortable, make them know how to like showcase their talent and help them to build and grow. Then I think Africa should be a place where everybody will want to come to, and everybody will be even happy to go back and develop his or her country. And I think that day is pretty close.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Desmond, I just go to that point because also now some African countries are bringing a young leader to the power. Countries like Chad, they have 2 ministers. South Sudan, also the African Youth Envoy was also from younger generation, and I think also Sierra Leone now have two youth in the power. How can the leaders, the makers, the policy makers make the vision what Luis talk about into reality?
That's a very deep question, and depending on your exposure and experience, you can answer this question from everywhere. I want to answer it from a personal perspective. Entrepreneurship is something that I want to emphasize on as an independent instrument that can propel the youth of Africa into wealth making, wealth generation. And if we have, for example, 100 youths starting businesses, small scale businesses, think of any sector at all, in the agri, in the IT, in business, in marketing, in transport, in making anything at all, maybe designing kettles, designing stoves, designing even chairs, furniture, anything at all. And we have also 200 in Nigeria. We have several across, and we have, if we sum everything together, 1 million Africans, youth, between the ages of maybe 25 and 39 years, who have this means to establish their own small-scale businesses. Do you know the replica effect? With time, as their businesses are growing, they gather experience. And once you have this experience, it trains you personally into leadership positions. And so for me, if we can put the government into a very good scope, what the youth in Africa can do is to step up the game of entrepreneurship, thinking of establishing a small business with the level of knowledge that you have maybe from your senior high school. Maybe you can start some selling businesses, and as this business grow, you are gradually learning to manage your own affairs. That is it. And if in the end we have a majority of the continent's youth running their own businesses, the leaders will be compelled to think. Let's think about this. In Ghana, we have over 1,000 youths operating their own business, small scale businesses, and they are booming. Because the youth are employing people, the government will be compelled to also come up with policies that will also facilitate the smooth running of these businesses. Even if the government is failing, now they have built a voice. If they decide to sack all their employees, the government cannot tax them. And so this is my advice to all Africans, that as youth, with whatever little amount of money we have, whatever amounts that we can invest, let's start our own small businesses. And we should be patient. Africans are mostly not patient. We see something in Europe and we think it's just a one-day miracle. No. The European Union that we see, for example, that has achieved so much in the past 60 years, started with only 6 member countries. Now they are 27. When Britain left, it was 28. And they have done so much well. Likewise, in the same way, when it comes to Germany, they call them the Mittelstand. These Mittelstand are made of individuals having their own stores, running businesses. These are the backbone of Germany's economy. So if you ask me about how, Mary and Louis, I will tell you the key is entrepreneurship. We must give ourselves this opportunity. We have to start it. With $10, buy something, try to build on it. And as it grows, be patient. Because money grows, businesses grow. And as we grow, we can naturally put some kind of pressure on our policymakers, and this will amount more pressure from the individuals themselves, because the government has nothing. And once they know that money is being generated from the activities of the individual, forming corporate unions, forming small-scale businesses unions, you can have a strong voice to push for your interests to reflect in policies. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good point. Just going back to Luis, because he is also in the diaspora, and the African Charter, the youth charter, is talk about the youth in the diaspora. They have the right to be part of the development and the work that's going on in the continent. Also, yeah, the leadership. How can someone, for example, like you, who is a software engineer, give this knowledge to someone in the continent, or train them in a specific area? So how do you think you can do that?
Okay.
An honest question.
Yeah, an honest question. Actually, I was thinking of something. I actually have something in mind that I was thinking of doing maybe in some years' time. I was thinking, actually, this is like from my own sincere, this is what I was thinking like some years back, up until now, I still have it upstairs, that yes, once I'm here, I'm settled and everything is okay, I actually have to go back and maybe set up a school. It has to be, it doesn't take much. It can be free school. It doesn't need to, all you need is a computer when it comes to the IT sector. All you need is a computer. So this is what I was thinking. I go back and I set up maybe a small IT firm. Like it will be free. Actually, this way it will be free, and we'll train, let's say, like 100 people, and we'll train them for free. But this is where the profit might come from. Though everybody is benefiting, this is where the profit will come from. Like maybe at the end of every lesson, once you are done with the training and everything, you are now a software expert, we give you a project. We finance the project. Like we'll finance the project, but you have to come up with the initiative. The individual have to use his head, come up with like a design, a good, maybe it might be maybe a machine. You get or an application that does something unique, something classic, and yes, they have to come up with it, and they bring it up, and yes, the company will finance it, but it belongs to the company anyway. But it's like the students' final project, saying all the tutor was free, and those are the ways you get to grow the country in terms of technology. Because if you're having, like, let's say 100 students every year bringing up new unique project that the world have never seen before, these are new talents. They have something upstairs. Once you put them in the right direction and you give them the tools, you will be shocked, and you will see that the Facebook, Google, all those things are just small. They started as a small project. Most of them started as a school project. If you go back to the history, they started as a school. If you put all those children, give them this thing, it doesn't have to be government. You give them the platform and you make them think, and you finance their thinking. Man, they are going to do exploits. Like, you'll be surprised the kind of innovations and discoveries that will be coming out. I think we also have to have a lot to do in the area of research. Yeah, in the area of research, we have to improve on our research in Africa in general, but I think we are doing that already, and it's coming up. So this way, I think the younger ones, we have a way to show up their skills easily. And yes, don't be surprised, the next big thing might come out from Africa, and you will see maybe an Africa making something that they thought is impossible, and you will see everybody will be coming, oh, let's get that technology. Every country, the Europeans and the rest, will be coming to Africa and saying, oh, I like what I saw. Just take, for instance, the Iron Drone for the Israel. It's a new technology, and the whole world was marveled. So if you have something like that come up in your local country or the African, and this is just something that just have to do with research. We have lots of geniuses in Africa, a lot. And if you give them you finance their thinking, then don't be surprised, something great will come out from it. Something really powerful will come out from it. And you will see the US, the Europeans will be like, oh, we like that stuff that we see in your country. How can you do it for us? That is it. They'll be the one coming to Africa and say, oh, how can we use? And you tell them, oh, if you want it, you pay, and we send people to go and install it. Yeah, we do to them what they do. We won't give it to you. You come and install it.
So Desmond, Luis, I always like your comments. So Desmond, go to that. I also hear in the US here, a lot of people are saying Ghanaian are qualified people that are smart. A young person like you who is a qualified leader and also talent. Where were you hiding? Where were a lot of those young people who are like you hiding? And how they can come out?
How can I come out?
Bring the knowledge, the expert that you are doing, become the next leader in leading one of the youth institutions.
I have passion for fashion. And if you ask me this question, I want to set up my business in the fashion sector. From the moment as I'm talking to you now, I'm putting things in place to start such a business in Ghana. So it is how I'm going to train myself in managerial position. That is my own initiative, and in time diverse into governance. Maybe in the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years, can then divert into governance. So I can contribute maybe in the transport sector, in the security sector, in policy formulation as well. But for others who don't have the passion to set up their own business, it is really tough. Then join someone who has a passion to set up a business, manage the business together. Always try to bring resources together. Because as you manage, I will emphasize again, as you learn to manage your own resources, as you learn to manage your own businesses, then you will be naturally going through the training process of becoming a leader, because most of us needs to be trained. I recently visited the African Continental Trade Areas Secretariat website, and they are looking for trade experts, policy experts. Their secretariat is in Ghana. And guess what? They need people with consecutively 10 years experience. I applied to some of the jobs, though I don't have this 10 years experience. I still applied to it. And I asked myself, how can the younger generation, those within the ages of maybe 25 years to their 35, how can they fit into such a position? Averagely, the experts that they need are people who are more than 40 years. And again, we have the same old school, old-minded, archaic people still going to run a secretariat that is going to drive the continent's growth. So my advice to the secretariat or to anybody who is watching this is that they should reserve certain positions for the vibrant youth who are awakened, for the vibrant youth who are willing to help, to contribute in this. Maybe in research areas, they should look for these people. They should reduce the yard of 10 years, probably to those recent graduates who still have knowledge fresh in their mind. So as these people start working in the secretariat, they can also grow and enhance their capacity. So if you ask me, how could we contribute? It's a very tricky question. And this is how I could put the answer. If I have justified if I have justified my
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Desmond and Luis. Do you have anything else to add before we finish this amazing discussion? Because today we have received so many comments. People like the discussion, and it just took a different form to present it. I think the way both of you did the presentation was amazing. Do you have anything to leave people out with? They are smiling like us.
Okay. What I'll say is, if you're an Africa out there, you have to know that, yes, Africa belongs to us and it's ours and it's in our hand, and we'll be the one to make it great. We can't wait for anybody elsewhere to come and make Africa work for us. If we need a technology in Africa, we develop the technology and we'll use it to build Africa. We cannot be waiting for others to come and build Africa. And one last thing, this is the time. this is actually the time to build Africa. And that's why each time I got a call from Desmond, I always, yes, this is a guy that have passion for, yes, the African as a continent and the growth of Africa. And yes, I like his spirit and everything. And I want so many other people out there to see. Like for my country, most people are leaving and they are saying, oh, they are going to in search of a better. They say, no, there's no other place better than home. No matter what, you will still go home. Yes, you will still go home. So we have to sit together and make our home comfortable, good, and build it in a way we would like our children to live in it. Yeah, because it's a
Desmond.
generational thing. If we pass a continent that is not well equipped to our children, then there is no way. Then instead of them to continue from where we stop, they'll be struggling on how to amend our errors. No, we have to give them a continent that they can build on and will be easy for them to achieve their dreams.
Desmond, my friend and also the designer. I think I would be also wearing from you some of this designer and the fashion designer that you are making. Since I'm not a model, but a lot of people are telling me that you have the model structure, the modeling body structure. So yeah, we maybe in the future we'll be doing that together and doing that partnership.
I'm ready.
Thank you.
I'm ready for that. Yeah. And
What
my final words, yeah, on regards to what we have to say. Well, Africa, I beg you. I'm begging Africans, let's try to be a bit secretive. You know, I forwarded a contact to Mary and my friend Dr. Dijanfi, he's an economist. I had a conversation with him about my projects, and he told me that the Continental Free Trade Area, Europe is providing some kind of money to support the information, to build a platform that will disseminate information about the performance, about the happenings of this Continental Free Trade Area. And he said, what do we do with information? And I was thinking about it. Well, once I know how to make money, it's information. So the information will turn into money. So I beg you, I am addressing Africa as a continent. Let's try to be a bit secretive. And with all the policies that we are putting in place to get to a future where we can be proud of, let us do these things and not swiftly or run straight to the media and publish these things that, oh, from today we are cutting a sword to do these things, to do this, that, and that. If I have the way alone, would rather come to the media when a project is completed. And when we have staff who have already begun working, or we have staff who are about to start working, I will not run to the media and expose my plans because we are already in a competition. That is why we don't know. I spoke to a German friend and he told me that Germany will go to wherever they can make profit. And it's the same for every country. No country will come into trade with you, will come into partnership with you without having its national interest at heart. And Africa being a developing country, we know that we should be patient, all right? But let us also try to be secretive. Because the more we expose ourselves, the easier it is for our competitors, for other continents, for other developed world to penetrate through our thoughts, to penetrate through our plans, and we will always be submerged and find it difficult to rise. So please, I'm begging everyone listening, let's learn to be secretive. When we are done with our projects, now we can now bring it to the media. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Actually, after I haven't done the show for 3 weeks, but today you left me with so much energy. And now I'm thinking to bring more of that creativity out because I'm a media person. I also speak. And thank you. Thank you for my guest. The topic of today was how youth initiative how can it help in the continent development and also the possibility of that. I was honored and joined by my guest, Desmond Benso Potang. He is a student at Berlin School of Economic and Law. Thank you, Desmond.
Thank you to Mary for this great opportunity. We
Thank
are
you
always
so much.
available to.
Thank you for coming for the reaction. And also, Mr. Luis Asamani, he's an engineer. He's a software engineer. Thank you so much for joining me, Engineer Luis.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for both of you, and hope to see you soon in different places, and also work together to build that young dream that we are having. Thank you so much.
Be ready.
Have a good day. Bye. And thank you everyone for watching. My name is Mary Apollo. I'm your host. See you in a different show, a different topic. Thank you for so much for watching the 4 Direction. Please subscribe to the channel and also share with your friends. Send us your suggestions about the topic that you think we should work more on it. Until see you next time. Bye.